Good morning, everyone. Happy FOMC Day to those who celebrate. I'm your host, Marcus D. This is the Euro Trade, and good morning, Anne-Marie, or good evening, since you're obviously suffering from insomnia. Sorry to hear about that, but also glad to see you joining us in chat today. All right, so we're going to continue with trading silver. I did a little scalp because I was awake from the point where silver went above the Asia high and then reversed. Didn't hold it too much longer because I wanted to go back to sleep, but managed to grab a few ticks there. And now we're going to see whether this crazy run upside is going to continue. So as always, we're going to look at very large time frames. I'm just going to do this. For now, it looks pretty bullish on the weekly time frame. Daily chart pretty much pushed upside from yesterday's high. So we're going to see whether they can maybe retest the Asia low and then maybe continue higher. But I would need it to retag Asia low first. So before we continue, I'm going to put my profiles on. So the first thing I'm going to do is get the volume profile fixed range. I prefer the TPO profile, but they're reasonably similar when it comes to the value areas. And we're going to go from yesterday's COMEX, this candle here, and then all the way to the end of the electronic trading. Now normally COMEX ends at 6:30 p.m. my time, but there's always, or nearly always, some activity past that time. So I like to take in the entirety of that range in order to calculate my distribution curve. So once I place this here, I can see that the value high is sitting around 61.30. The price tested it kind of deeply into it and then reacted from it. So for now, that remains an orientation point. But obviously we have this Asia low from the Globex Open, and I would like to see that taken out as we get closer to COMEX and also closer to the London fix, which is midday my time. That's 7 a.m. Eastern, I think, and 6 a.m. Central. And also for those of you who are saying they like seeing me on fast markets, I will be on fast markets in the last hour of fast markets, which is from 4 p.m. my time today. And then I will also pop into group coaching. So if you have any questions for myself and Hoop and JD, we're going to be there to answer some more burning questions if you have any. All right, next up, we're going to move the ADRs, the quantitative extremes, wherever they are at the moment. So ADR high sitting at 63. Slightly over that, but I'm kind of rounding up a bit. And I'm going to grab the ADR low, which is at the moment at 60.165. So not too far from the call wall, which is still there. And then we actually have another one at 62.25. So just above this wick here. I'm going to change that to white. Maybe make it dashed or maybe dotted just to delineate those levels a bit. And this is also a gamma wall, so it has quite a few people sitting there and waiting to make everybody's lives miserable. All right, so let's formulate some hypotheses. The first one will be a continuation higher, obviously. Don't know what this anchored VWAP is, so I'm going to delete that. So first setup that I want to see is the wick below the Asia low returning to the range, and then a trade back towards at least this core wall, maybe even higher, but for now this is the first kind of major reference point. The wick above Asia high and a reversal, that's already happened, so I don't like doing double dips unless we end up in a range day. The second choice would be if the market participants decide to hedge around the core wall, and then to maybe continue that into a special situation play, which would mean accepting the prices from yesterday, so falling into the value area, closing a 30-minute time frame confidently inside it with no buying wicks like this one, so we don't want to see that, and then continuing to rotate towards the ADR low and maybe this call wall down here at 60. If we ever arrive at 60, that will be almost an ideal pullback for yet another intraday swing. Is it going to happen today? I don't know. We'll see. Now, FOMC for silver is kind of a medium impact release. It's not like, oh wow, yeah, silver is going to move a lot. Sometimes it moves. Other times it has a rather muted reaction depending on what they try to do with it. So it's not really like equities and gold, where they're very, very reactive to whatever FOMC is doing. Don't know how much more I'm going to be trading if neither of those levels come in, purely because it is FOMC and we could be in a situation where we're just range bound. So that becomes the third hypothesis, where we just basically stay Asia bound in the Asia range, and in that case, maybe just maybe a double dip from this call wall in Asia high, stop run and reverse. That could become something to look at. Maybe if we are coming into the London close, that would be the ideal time of day to look for that setup. So for now, Asia range is pretty muted, I would say. This is a pretty small range, and I'm gonna use the price range to measure how big this is. So all in, it's about 219 ticks, which is not terrible. It's just about $1 or a point, full points worth. So not terrible, but at the same time, we've had much bigger Asia ranges recently, so that's unusual in its own right. So yeah, let's see what the session wants to bring. And of course, we are expecting silver and gold to get stuck in range during this stream. So if I had a choice, I would be trading DAX during this time, because it is more of a London-based product. But for now, we don't yet have Eurex products on Topstep, and at some point that will arrive. Just don't ask me when or how. I don't know. Next is saying gold short until liquidity looks good. So let's have a look at gold, because I did start putting some levels on there. It does seem to be trying to break out of the Asia low. So maybe, the thing is, I don't like doing breakout trading, because traditionally over the last 19 years, they're just one of those setups that only work if they have some really big moves happening, and I don't think we're in that kind of a period right now. So I would like to see maybe a retest of VWAP, or at the very least a retest of Asia low, and maybe, just maybe, we have some shorts there. But the fact that we are hanging below the Asia low, that can be a sign of a breakout. One thing that I don't like is that this volume is very, very patchy for a breakout. So if you're aiming for a breakout, you do not want to see this indecision. So one candle down, then doji, doji, then down, then up, then down, then up, then down. I think it's all, it's not really enticing me to say, yeah, let's short gold like right now. In fact, to me, this would be caution, and it looks more like this is more of a random walk than anything else. So that's why I'm not really in favor of breakouts at the moment. Let's look at some levels. So we have a put support. So we have put wall at 42.30. This is end of day levels yesterday. And silver and gold are a little bit different. Silver actually has daily option expiries, whereas gold doesn't. But gold, I think, has weekly options. Let me just double check that. Yeah. So yeah, the 0DTs in metals are not that big of a deal. Yeah, so, okay, so gold, bizarrely, I think this has changed because this never used to be like that. They used to have like weekly options, they used to have monthly, but I'm looking at it now. It looks like they've added weekly options that expire nearly every single week on gold, so that's new. There have been some changes in the frequency of option expiries, especially in the energies markets. Like energies markets before used to be just like once a month, typically like third Friday or third Thursday of the month, and that would be it. But now they've added Tuesdays and Thursdays in the energies market. So you have crude oil that expires Tuesdays and Thursdays. And those days tend to be more sort of trending days. So if you see, let's say, the crude oil or RBOB extending the initial balance to one side, and you want to do something with it fairly late, probably not a good idea to go against it. So that's all been done in July last year when they introduced these new options in order to make the market participants position themselves quicker in light of what was going on geopolitically. So yeah. Yeah, but for now I'm just sitting and waiting as always, being super patient. And again, I don't know how much I'm going to trade on FOMC day. It could be just a nothing day until they release the rate, and then obviously the press conference is the main one. So don't go rushing into trading that. Now I know most of you will be on the sim, but if you are in the live account, that tends to be a little bit tricky because you can get stuck in positions since the dome gets very, very thin, and there aren't many people trading at that time until the whole madness and the algo battles are over. So yeah, tread carefully today. Do I trade Bitcoin? I do not. No, I don't know. I looked at Bitcoin. To me, it's very similar to equities. And I don't, like, I know that it's all about, like, the digital currencies and, the decentralized markets and all that. But to me, it just spells lack of regulation, even with the futures that we have now. I'm still not entirely sure about the whole Bitcoin situation, because if we found out, like, we saw how fragile the markets are. We had the CME outage. We also had Trump tariffs wreaking havoc on the markets and everybody being super scared. There's going to be some kind of a semi-apocalypse. So what happens if some weird event takes out internet? What happens to the digital currencies? They disappear. So, I'm always in favor of trading something that actually exists in the world. There's a tangible, physical commodity. And yes, that could be just me being old and being, Granny D over here. But yeah, I just don't believe in it. And I don't I don't know, every time I looked at it, it was almost like another equity index to me. Just by the behavior, by the fact that you have a few whales that control that market. I don't like that. I don't like any kind of singular person cornering something that should be available for everybody. So I have a bit of a problem with that. So yeah, I don't trade Bitcoin. I stay in my lane. You know, I'm a commodities trader. I have been a commodities trader for 19 years. I was a currencies trader as well, but haven't done that since, I think I haven't really done proper currency trading since 2017. So yeah. Did I change my take profit on silver? No, I kept it where it was, so I took profits there, just underneath 60. And yes, it ran to high heavens, but I don't care. Like, the plan worked, the silver went up. I had to kill the copper early, and I did manage to swipe another smaller trade on the basis of the overnight low, which was then the London low getting taken out, and then a reversal. But other than that, no, I didn't change the profit target. I took it where it was in the morning, and I just walked away and did other things. Went for a dog walk, did some work on my other businesses, and then in the evening I played some video games. So quite uneventful. But yeah, it sort of went crazy, and silver does go crazy every so often. But at the same time, because it went so crazy, do we have some possibility for maybe a mean reversion? Maybe, but until that shows up as either a value acceptance or basically acceptance, even if you don't have profile, you can look at the Asia low. If it starts doing something like this, like gold is doing right now, so basically going below the Asia low and increasing in volume in a steady manner, not like this, like patchy. Can you even see that? Hold on, let me just remove my mug so I can show you what I mean. So if you get committed downward movement, this one is too patchy. Why? Because the volume is not really even. Like, yes, it's bigger, but it's all just green, red, green, red. It's like when you have a true breakout, that tends to be a lot more uniform, especially on a 30-minute time frame. So you want to see something like this to the downside. So let's see if I can find one. This is a crazy one that took the entire move. Obviously I might have to go pretty far out to find that, because we've been going up on gold as well. But let's see if we can go back far enough. Or maybe we can use the long side for that particular example. So see here, they're building across a number of green candles to the upside. So you want to see the same thing to the downside, rather than this like patchy nonsense. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. It's like, make up your bloody mind. So yeah, not really convinced in this Asia move. And also statistically, gold likes to turn around in the first sort of 3 hours of the session. It looks like it's going one way, and then it just turns around and smacks you in the face and then gets stuck in a range. So that's the expected behavior for this time of day. So this session should be looked at more as a class on a whole bunch of things like levels, risk management, systematic trading, how to approach different strategy requirements on the prop. Because, you know, you can have a strategy that works on your personal account without the extra risk limits, without the trading drawdowns, without, you know, the loss limits, maximum loss limits, daily loss limits. And then you get to prop, and it's almost like the Olympics. Suddenly you have rules that need to be followed, and you have to fit your strategy into that. And that causes trouble for most people. Like yesterday we had somebody who's like, oh yeah, flash crash on NQ. And then they also said that they were in with 6 NQ minis. Like, towards the end of the stream. And, you know, I was like, well, if that goes wrong, you're not going to last a day. So that's a problem. That's how you don't have consistency and longevity, by oversizing on the funded accounts. And if it was a combine, well, then the consistency rule goes right out the window, doesn't it? So I don't know what people are trying to do. It's just sometimes I look at the current state of prop trading and I just see retail after retail after retail. And always the same thing. I oversized and I blew my accounts. I oversized and I blew my accounts. I oversized. So what is that telling you? So do we not see that we have these things, simple contract limits, you know? So it's like, look, even here I have a limit on silver and had a block on full silver because I had a couple of times where I entered the full silver because they're similar, sich versus silch. And I just didn't think. I just pressed the button and I was like, whoa, okay, what happened there? It's like, what happened is that you traded a product that costs 25 bucks per tick. It goes wrong very quickly. And on something like NQ, that moves a lot. It moves like between 800 and 1,500 ticks a day. And then you're also oversizing on it. It's like... So I just feel like the industry from that point of view is not... like this whole thing, you know, rushing with prop. No evals. Straight to funded. Quicker, faster, more payouts, blah. So it's like, if you just slow down, and yet in the pursuit of those goals, people keep failing because they're not seeing the right picture. So, you know, whenever I have a new account, the first objective is not, let's get a payout as quickly as possible. The first objective is keep the account. Let's not blow it up in the day or two that, you know, you have available. But instead, let's size down, let's look at star setups, let's not get involved in, you know, subpar setups that have no place. But of course, the dopamine rush from passing something and having a new account, it wreaks havoc on your mindset. So this class should be looked at more as what is the correct way to approach it. Whatever your strategy is, I don't care about strategies, but there is definitely a good, consistent way to do it that will be sustainable, carrying that approach forward into any funded accounts, and the unsustainable stuff that you see a lot across YouTube, internet, you know. And I don't know, maybe, I think it's just, it used to be better. So if you knew that you had to have 10 minimum days before you can get funded, would that make you rush? If you know that you can't get funded before the 10 days are up, how would you approach your trading then? So I would urge everybody to rethink this whole 1 day, 2 day, no day to pass and what it's doing to your trading skills. Is it serving you or is it harming you? So just because you can pass in 2 days doesn't mean that you should. I always take time with my combines. I'm not in a rush. You know, I have all the time in the world, and it's going to take however long it's going to take. And the XFAs and live accounts should be treated the same way. It's going to take however long it's going to take. So I do think that back in the day, you had traders who could really trade. Whereas now it's all like, oh, yeah, I swiped one NQ. And then they're like, oh, I'm up, you know, $2,000 on the day. And then the next day, they lose control over themselves. And then they lose the 2K and lose the entire maximum loss limit. So basically a full loss from the peak to the downside is like $6,500. And that's like best case scenario. Some people run it up to like 7, 10, 15K and then run it all the way back down. That's the thing that I like. If you're going to run something in the ground, do it slower. Lose money slower, and you then give yourself a chance to survive. So even if you mess it up, even if you have a Muppet moment. But if you allow the daily loss limit to stop you on the days when you malfunction, isn't that a better option than you wanting everything now? And, this whole instant gratification thing that I think NQ is responsible for, that's not a good thing for most people. As traders, what is our primary job? It's to be patient, to wait for setups. And I think, unpopular opinion, that most people shouldn't be trading NQ. And they're just doing it because it's so fast. And it's kind of like carrot on a stick, right? It's like the profits, they're just there. If I could just get a couple of faster moves, then it's all going to be okay. And the DMs that I get, like, I don't really read them much, but we all of us coaches and everybody involved with Topstep, we all get like dozens of messages every single day, sometimes even more. And some of the messages are quite sad and quite frankly worrying. There was every so often I pop into my DMs to see what's going on, and a couple of them that kind of stand out in my mind was one person that had something wrong with their dad, and they were close to a payout, and they rushed it, and then they blew it up, and they were asking me to give them an account. It's like, first of all, what makes you think that I have that kind of power? I'm just an on-air personality. And second of all, if you're relying on trading to get you out of the financial troubles, you really need to not trade and have a look at your life, because that means you've mismanaged your finances to a degree where you're now like in danger of having zero cash whatsoever, and yet you have a family member that needs help. It's like, wouldn't that mean you want stable income rather than income that is risky? We post those risk disclaimers. Don't trade with the money you cannot afford to lose. And that also goes with buying combines. People buy 5 at once and they're in debt up to their eyeballs. Say, buy 1, keep your costs low, and then maybe use those payouts to pay off the debts. Then once you're clear of the debt, you can think of scaling up. But no, they have, dollars in their eyes. Sorry, I'm going on a rant today, but I just kind of woke up and saw a couple of DMs that were like really quite disheartening. And I'm like, wow, is this something that people actually do? Like, this is, I feel really sad. I feel terrible for them, really, that they even have that sort of problem. And that they have an idea how trading is going to solve everything. It won't. Trading is something that should be done once you're financially secure to a degree, even if it's not like riches. But, if you have a stable income somewhere and you have some money to spare and you are not, maybe you're a little bit in debt, but not up to your eyeballs. However, you have, you're comfortable purchasing a combine without it derailing your standard of living. That's the real time to start trading. And then another one was a single mother with 3 kids. And again, big story about, being in trouble financially and everything. And I'm like, you shouldn't be trading. Like, I don't even know what to say to these people. But yeah, so please sort out your finances first, man. Like, this is all about managing money, and if you can't manage your own money, what makes you think you'll be good at managing this sort of money? It's look outside of trading in the real life conditions and how you are with your own personal finances. And if that's not in a good state, you're not going to be able to make money in trading. First of all, because you're trading from scared money side of things. And that means any rational decisions are not possible. Yeah, so Hammerine says, feel the same way. So many participants getting them into a spot like that. It's a gambling mindset. Yeah. Yeah, don't use rent money to buy combines. Yes. That's it. Like, it really does bother me, It really does bother me. Is Topstep adapted for scalpers? Well, they're not against it. So I know of firms that will ban you for scalping. especially if it's like really flipping accounts really quickly or flipping trades really quickly. Topstep doesn't care about your strategy as long as you have alpha. But, you know, if you are not consistent as a scalper, not sure whether you will go into the live account where you have the prospect of daily profits, daily payouts, but they're not against it, right? So they're absolutely fine with scalpers. I'm not sure whether they'll be okay with like somebody trying to run HFTs. I don't even think you can do that on retail because we don't have preferential fills. So if you're trying to do like, you know, 1,000 trades in an hour, the system is just not going to allow that. So that kind of scalping obviously should be reserved for institutions who have size and preferential fills because they pay for it. And that costs a lot of money. So it's inaccessible to retail. I don't know why anybody would scalp in that way. I think the best scalpers that are independent and manual human scalpers that I've seen still only do between 3 and 5 trades a day. So they take smaller chunks with maybe a 1-to-1. But they don't do 100 trades per day. The only people that I've ever seen do 100 trades per day are dealers, right? Market makers. And they usually have 1 options per position against the majority of the investors. And then they hedge actively in futures. Can you do that on Topstep? No, because you can't trade options on Topstep. So it's just intraday futures. So why would you even attempt to do market making in that way? So again, goals versus, you know, and then also scalping. Like, do you think that I would be here almost 2 decades in if I was that kind of a scalper? If I scalp, it's going to be because it's either, for example, this was a scalp, right? So this was a scalp. Bust through the Asia high and a limited profit because I didn't have the Asia range that was that big, so I couldn't like run it massively. But I took a nice little chunk out of this, and that was it. So did I hold it for hours? No, I held it for maybe 15 minutes, maybe. Because I woke up around here when this already happened. So I'm like, okay, let me try a little short here, and then it dropped, and that was my trade. So, you know, it's not like, oh, I never scalp. It's just that I don't see the reason to scalp if you have a bigger swing showing up, and I think that's a matter of skills. So is it a swing or is it a range type of day where, you know, maybe smaller trades are applicable, and then you modify, you know. This is why I have the chameleon here, because I am a bit of a chameleon. Yes, I will hold swings until the cows come home, but I will also do range trades that only aim for the middle of the range, not past it. So Topstep has nothing against scalpers to within reason, obviously. I mean, we had that guy that did on an XFA, he did like 1,800 contracts in a day. And I think he was trading like micro gold or something. And they calculated that if he was in a live account and actually doing that in live, that he would have accounted for 13% of the transactions that were done that day. and I think he still had a negative expectancy. I think his day-to-day was still like minus 200 or something. We have to have positive expectancy. So as long as you have positive expectancy with your scalping style, and it's not completely insane where you're doing like, you know, 300 trades a day, yeah, Topstep has nothing against that. Scalp away, mate. If it works, it works. If that's what your alpha is, that's what your alpha is. If you like sitting here in a prison that you've replaced from your 9 to 5, that's entirely your choice. But I personally like to have more time and to not be bound by the screen all the time to look for my setups. I place alerts, and then once my levels are there, I will sit and I will trade. I also have day trading time zones when I know certain high probability events happen. So, you know, typically that's the London fix. Then I have the post and white cut into the euro close. And then after that, if I want to keep trading, I have the final half hour of NYMEX when I may pop in a trade in energies markets. And, I structure my day so that I don't have to spend more than about 3 hours actively looking for trades and setups. Anything over that, and our human brains are really terrible at maintaining any sort of mental capital. So just keep that in mind. Nobody can make good trading decisions for like 8 to 12 hours a day. That's, you would need a lot of stimulants to do that, which is what, like, there was a YouTube kind of a mock video of how traders are, and it was sort of done in almost like a nature program. It's like here's a trader scurrying towards a coffee machine after consuming Red Bulls, which is their primary food source. Like they kind of did it as if it's like a creature in a habitat, and what are the habits of this creature as they go through their day. And it was really funny because it relied on a lot of caffeine intake. You know how we have like Alex Ferreira who says things like, ice, heat, get up. I thought of doing like a short where I'm doing it from a trader's perspective. So it's like caffeine, nicotine. Do it all over again. Oh no, I'm down 50% of the account. Because I always like to have a bit of comic relief on my channel. I would have to do a lot of B-roll though, so it was a bit labor intensive. It was just an idea, so yeah. Mark Saunders says, I have a... Mark Saunders, you have the same name as my my admin guy. That's funny. He's Mark with a C though. So yeah. You have a combine, you have a funded account that is just sitting there until you can adapt the strategy. Yeah. I mean, yeah, this is why combines are there. You have a funded account, but you can keep practicing in simulated environments that don't have, a big consequence for losing them, in case things don't work out. But yeah, save that funded account. I like that. I like the fact that you are being patient. I like the fact that you are working things out and that you want to approach it the right way through data and some sample sizes that are longer than 2 days. So completely applaud that. Yeah. What indicators are you using to mark Asia high and low? Here's a revolutionary indicator. My eyes. The eyes. So all I do is I look at the time. Can you see that? Yeah, so you look at the time at the bottom. So for me, Tokyo is midnight till 6 a.m. So from midnight, I will see within that period from midnight till 6 a.m. what was the high and what was the low. So the low in this case was made pretty much immediately, but the high was made around 2 a.m. This is your classic pre-Shanghai open. You can see it nearly every day. So you have this big move that looks like a breakout. Then the Shanghai exchange opens at 1:30 a.m. my time, and then it reverses things. But it also creates a high or a low if they're doing it the other way. Sometimes they shake it out to the downside, and then that becomes your reference for after Tokyo. So once Tokyo closes, there's this weird period between the actual Tokyo close, Eurex open and LSE open, London Stock Exchange open. Now, London Stock Exchange is not a big exchange for silver trading. LME used to be, but now it's COMEX. However, if you're trading copper, then the LME is very, very important for base metals such as zinc, aluminium, and copper. They used to trade it, but then in 2022 they decided to stop. They used to trade all metals in the curb time, which is just 10 minutes before COMEX opens. But now they don't really do that. So it's not a huge thing for silver. but it still has a bit of a knock-on effect. So you can still have this overnight low or high being taken out and then it reverses. So it also brings pretty nice setups. One additional kind of factual piece of data that happens after LME opens is the London fix for silver, which is midday my time. So that's like 7 a.m. Eastern. And then you can also have a sharp reversal from there. But as soon as COMEX kicks in, you have to be really careful because COMEX brings so much more volume than all of the other two exchanges combined. And all of the stops that you might have been basing on the Asia or London ranges are not going to be appropriate enough to carry those positions over into COMEX. So anytime I have a position, if it's not really doing much and I see that it's pretty close to, still close to my entry, I need to have at least like 1 hour space, so at least like 50 ticks of space so that I can have time to figure out what I'm going to do with it if COMEX opens. But I base my stops on silver, usually on COMEX ranges anyways. So it'll be between 55 and 85 ticks, depends on what we're doing. Right now I'm using 55, and that tends to be enough to catch the highs and the lows that are near there, so you don't get caught up in the liquidity sweep, even though quite frequently my entry would be pretty close after we bust the high or the low. So, you know, obviously if I am very late and I'm getting involved once we busted through the high and reversed, and then I'm trying to get involved here, that's just a bad trade. It's a bad trade location. It's not good. Just because of the structure. So you know, never mind the initial balance, never mind everything else. You need to see the structure. And if the structure doesn't allow you to place your stops outside of the obvious highs and lows, you either need to have some kind of a mean reversion trade going on that is typically faster. And mean reversions are by far the fastest setups that you will get anywhere. Obviously NQ is pretty fast anyway, but silver can be a little bit sluggish and slow for some of the other trades. And then if you have a range day, like we saw on NQ yesterday, where everybody was complaining how, oh yeah, it's really terrible, it's really shit. It's like, yeah, it's in rollover. And I did warn people, because I've seen NQ only move barely like, maybe like 100, 150 points on average. Back in the day when we had QE post-credit crunch, it wasn't doing what it's doing now. But, you know, most of you have only been trading for like 2 to 5 years, and you didn't experience the time when NQ wasn't crazy, because most of you got involved in and around COVID. If you were watching equities before then, and you were trading back when I started trading, like many moons ago, ES and NQ were not that exciting. Like NQ was great during earnings periods, and then you could get about 300 points out of it on the basis of, you know, the tech companies doing really well. But outside of that, it was nothing like it is today. Nothing like it. So there will come a time where things settle down. And then what? What are you gonna turn to? Who are you gonna turn to? Who are you going to call? Ghostbusters. So you need to like maybe open up your horizons to other products. Now, luckily for me, commodities, largely somewhere some commodity is moving, right? So if it's not crude oil, it will be gold. If it's not gold, it will be platinum. If it's not platinum, it will be copper. So I kind of bounce between those, and people are like, oh, Dee, what product do you love the most? I don't look at it that way. I just go wherever the liquidity is to a degree, right? If it goes too crazy like gold, I stay away from it, because I'm like, well, I don't want to be using 200 tick stops. That's insane. But especially if it's not like advancing for another 200 to 400 ticks after it creates those moves, intraday on a 30-minute time frame. But whenever I see those kind of behaviors, I will be like, that's not good. So this is why I moved to silver. So where did you hear about silver? You heard it here first, right? Yesterday, everybody was like, wow, look at silver. It's like, yeah, D has been trading that well before you guys. It's like, hello, you're a trade. Yes, we've been doing silver for like 2-3 weeks now, 4 weeks, a month. And you know, but people are like, NQ. And now gold, because again, gold was moving. But now gold is not moving that much. And everybody's just sitting there in trades that are not going anywhere. So just go where the liquidity is. Like if something on a weekly time frame looks like this, that's a range. What is this? It's a range. So why would I want to get involved in that until it breaks out of that range? I don't want anything to do with it. It's painful. It's slow. It's not, like nobody's interested. They're distributing. Distributions are painful. And this is a weekly time frame. Very painful to live through as a trader. You will always find better success if you immediately analyze from the bigger time frame. How is the market doing? Is it advancing a trend on the weekly chart? If the answer to that is yes, that's your product. That's my product. Not this. Like it might come back if we either go lower or go higher. Then it will be another trend. Right now, this is creating a potential drop base. So reaccumulation or maybe distribution. But we don't know that. So at the moment, because of the end of the year looming and stuff, I'm guessing we're probably going to have a bit of a drop. Then it's going to establish the low for this period. And then maybe in January we push higher. But for now, gold versus silver looks meh. It's horrible. And silver had its period of consolidation as well. I didn't trade it in October. I only started trading it as we got closer to December because I saw it breaking out and I'm like, right, it's time. It's time. That's why I moved to it. It's not an accident. It's like, oh yeah, D found something that's moving. No, it's just analysis. And now that it's broken out and it is moving, people are like, hey, look at what silver and platinum are doing. It's like, well, yeah. Why isn't that on your radar? Oh yeah, that's right. Because you're all obsessed with NQ. Yes. Yeah, Blue Boy, exactly. 100 ticks, 100 points is nothing. And it reminds me the way it used to be circa 2014, 2013, 2012, 2011. Like, it was really slow. I couldn't, like, they put me on an equities desk when I first came into my very first prop trading company. They were like, there you go. Everybody trades that ES. You know, we have a lot of ES traders. You trade that. And I measured the average daily range. And it was like legit 5 points, like 20 ticks. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, well, what? Why do people trade this? And they're like, well, no, it's a popular product. And I'm like, but why? Like, I just couldn't get my head around that at all. Because obviously when I started in prop, I missed the whole, .com bubble that was happening end of 90s because I was a musician and I was young, right? So I was, the 90s were my teenage years, right? So I missed all of that. And then as I got into prop trading, so I started trading in 2007, didn't get into prop until 2012. I was in Forex because that was what everybody else was doing. And I did really well. And then I'm like, I'm going to go into futures. So they put me on ES and I was like, wow, this is a snooze fest, man. So then they also tried putting me on fixed income. But I thought that was even more of a pain because I'm like, but this definitely doesn't move. I remember putting in a trade and it was, I think it was like a 10-year or something. So I went out to lunch and I came back and it had moved full 2 points, two ticks, not even points, ticks. And I was like, wow, well, this is a fast product. So that's how I learned that bonds only really move if there's like monetary policy stuff happening. And then they're very, very responsive. But as a whole, I'm not a fixed income trader. I'm not an equities trader. However, I found myself really gravitating towards things like crude oil and gold and silver and copper and RBOB and heating oil. Like all of these things that can move a lot. Even natural gas. Natural gas, I don't know what it's doing because it looks like it's in the summer. So let's have a look at that. Like, what is this? Is it the summertime? Like, I get it. Oh, even over here, we're having a warm winter. Because right now, it should be, like, if this is December, it should be really cold. And we're having, like, 12, 14 degrees centigrade. Like, it's super warm. That's, like, 60 degrees if you're in the States. It's like, it's winter. Like, what is happening? We should be, like, -5, not 14. And don't get me wrong, I'm happy. My Cavalier is not doing well. I mean, he's all right. He's still alive. But he's an old dog. He probably wouldn't live through a very cold winter. But yeah, I don't know what is going on with natural gas. Is that why? Is that why we're struggling with the upside? Maybe. But yeah, yesterday I had a small trade in natural gas. It barely went over 1 hour to the upside. So I caught it here because I was looking at the post NY cut reversal, which is 3 p.m. So here's 3 p.m. And I saw that it made a low, couldn't really do anything with it, and then usually you have this move to the upside. So I caught this one, but it only had, it started to come back to VWAP, and then it started to, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm going to bail out of this, because by the time that you get to London close, natural gas, crude oil, and RBOB all have this penchant of reversing. So it's a very dangerous time of day to keep going long. But at times when we have cold weather, this would not be much of a problem. It would basically just go to VWAP, bounce from it with no wicks, and then just carry on higher. But it started to reverse, and I was like, well, I'm not holding this. I don't know what it's doing. And then it just smashed all the way down. And I'm like, okay, phew, like, thank God I closed that. But this time of the year, natural gas should be going up, and it's not. So when that's happening, I'm like, well, seasonality not working this year. Is it because of warmer weather? Probably. Should it have this much of an effect? Maybe. So we obviously don't have enough natural gas demand to run it higher. So I'm going to stick to silver, because that seems to be more sane at the moment. Derivative J says, throwback, I just remembered some of your early Market Stalker videos pre-COVID when you were brunette. Well, now I'm salt and pepper. I'm actually trying to grow it out, and today I couldn't, for some reason I looked at myself and it just looked odd, because I've got like a little really, really white piece here. And as I was brushing the hair, I don't know, today it just didn't look that great. So I actually put some temporary sort of, one of those sprays that covers up your roots. And yeah, but the reason why I went this color is because COVID came and I couldn't get to my normal girl that was doing like all of the crazy hair colors. I was a brunette, but I was also red and black for a long time, like screaming red and black. And then as I got older, somehow, I don't know whether my complexion changed or what, but the dark colors just don't work for my complexion at the moment. I don't know why. So yeah, I decided to be this color, but I'm not going to be dyeing my hair anymore. So I'm going to be gray. I'm not that great. I'm still salt and pepper with this like white streak, like a skunk streak. Lovely. I think it's going to be interesting because I don't think I look that old yet. So, being gray is apparently in now. So I want to see what that looks like. And to be honest, dyeing my hair is just a pain. Just can't be bothered anymore. But yes, I used to be a brunette. That was my color. So I was a brunette. Nice of you to remember me from that far. That was a long, long time ago, man. Because That must have been like, I don't know, 2018 was the last time I had brown hair. Although I used to change my hair color all the time, so yeah. All right, so gold is kind of getting a little bit more of a commitment in the volume side of things to the downside. Still not great though. So I'm still kind of seeing this COMEX low as a point of interest, and then if it can't hold that, I wouldn't be surprised if we're down at 4,200. So 4,200 today is yet again GEX2. GEX2 on gold. Yeah, Sandy, my sister says, with black hair I look like Morticia, so nope. Yeah, somehow you're lighter than me. I'm not actually extra white, bizarrely. I'm very, very olive-skinned. Like, this is actually the whitest I've been in forever. And I don't have, like, you know how some white women, they have, like, nice sort of rosy cheeks and nice white complexion. I just look yellow or gray. So, you know, it's the Mediterranean complexion. It's a bit tricky. But yeah, pure blonde looks terrible on me. It just washes me out completely. So that's not it. I always have to have like darker bits. That's why I went for like darker ombre, whatever. Why are we talking about hair? Let's get back to the market. So what is silver doing? Silver at the moment is starting the consolidation that we usually see around about this time. Now gold in 3 minutes is going to have its London fix. So it's the first fix of the day, which comes at 10:30. It might reverse from there. So we'll see. I'm not going to trade that because I don't like the way gold has been moving, but we can watch it. So let's see what happens after the fix. Very interesting. And what could happen is that it gets stuck in a range after the fix and then continues the reversal later or the drop. But London fix becomes a new reference point. Whereas for silver, the fix is actually midday, so much later. Yeah, Gear says, I'm with you for 2 to 3 years. I know. Yeah, remember when you started joining my streams before I got really sick, so. I really tried to run my live streams again this year. But as soon as I came across a day where I had to do my show, then, because, you know, our schedule changes very frequently with TopstepTV. And then I had to be on the main broadcast, and then it just so happened that that day was my live stream designated day, and it killed me. Because it took me 2 weeks to recover from it, and I'm like, okay, so not time yet to push myself. It's ultra annoying. It's really annoying having an energy limiting disease. Because you can't do anything. You know, you think you can, and then you overdo it, and then you crash. So it's like, great. So now I can't do anything for 2 weeks because I overdid it. Oh, that was great going, Dee. It really requires, like, chronic illnesses require you to be so disciplined with yourself. And I think it's been good for my trading as well, because if you have an energy limiting condition, you can't sit here and scalp anyways, because you'll crash. You'll just be like half dead. So you have to be a little bit more clever about how you structure your day and when you're going to have your 2 naps that you require. And honestly, doing Yoga Nidra as a part of that, that's been a revelation. Because Yoga Nidra, like if you can't do exercise and stuff, Yoga Nidra is a great replacement for it. Because it takes you have to be away from the screens completely. You can't just do Yoga Nidra and stare at the screen. You have to go and sit, put the eye mask on, get yourself on nice and comfy, and then go through a very mindful meditation. I frequently fall asleep during it. And then for about 14 minutes, I'm just like totally calm. Then I get up and I feel like it's almost a new day. and whatever decisions you did prior to the Yoga Nidra session, they are almost like wiped. Because, you know, every time you sleep on something, your brain does get a degree of like kind of a wash cycle where you feel a little bit better about things that had happened the previous day. Most recently, I had some not such good news about my oldest dog, Leonard. And that first day when I think he had a bit of a syncope or something, but I've never seen that before, so I freaked out. Obviously took him in for a scan. We found out he's got some fluid on his heart, but it's not a tamponade, so it's okay. So he's not dying yet. We have him on some really good meds now. But I was really upset. Like, I was so upset. I almost had like a panic attack at the vet. And then I slept on it, and then I realized I have 6 of his kids, and that honestly I'm just his butler more than anything. He likes my husband a lot more, and I just felt a little bit better because I slept on it, and I'm like, he's still here. It's okay. So definitely stepping away from the screens, having a little nap. It can snap you out of some nonsense behaviors as a trader. Or as a person, you know, if you're super emotional about something, go and sleep on it and come back. If you are a proponent of Jewish practices, they also say that if you've had an argument with someone, wait 3 days before you go into like talking about whatever's happened, because 3 days is how long it takes for us to kind of cool off. And for example, if you blew up your XFA, maybe wait 3 days before you trade again, or before you go back to funded or something. Wait 3 days. What is the fix? Okay, so fix is when the prices are set for the day as a reference point for a whole bunch of things. Institutions use the fix to quote the price for their risk systems on the day, and gold has 2 of them. So it's got 10:30 and then 3 p.m. Silver only has 1, which is midday. So for all intents and purposes, whatever happens, silver today is going to be wherever it is midday for the rest of the day. That's how it works. It's almost a version of mark to market. If you know what like settlement is, this is similar. So they don't necessarily have to have settlement for the London session. They just have the London fix, and that becomes the reference point. And very frequently you can get a sharp reversal or a big continuation from there as well, but reversals are more likely. Okay, so the fix, let's mark it with maybe, what should be the color? Let's do like baby blue. Baby blue. Okay, so London fix. Whoops. London fix, 10:30 a.m. So statistically, you get sharp reversals from there. So we'll see if gold can actually climb up. And then the same kind of expectation, like let's say that we drop even further and we're sitting around 61, then the silver London fix comes at midday, and then it reverses. Well, that will be a confluence of 2 things. London fix and Asia low. That will make me initiate a long more readily than without it. And in fact, the London fix reversals were some of the best trades that I've done on copper when it was trending up and down. And basically they would start reversing it around midday, and then it would just carry on. And the first sign of it would be obviously the London fix reversal. But then after that, it would just extend the initial balance for COMEX in the same direction. All right, so they seem to be reversing a little bit of it. Now, let's see if it holds. Let's see if it holds. This is why I was a little bit skeptical about this whole down move. It just looks sketchy to me. It just doesn't look like something I want to be a part of. So yeah, London fix, sharp reversal, question mark. Let's put that down. Question mark. Should we put an emoji? You know, the one where it's like, where is it? Here it is. Hypothesis. The thesis. Statistically, we should see a sharp reversal. A little bit sketchy, again, because we're below the Asia low, so it could just go lower. And we're in between dealer levels now, so that's a bit weird. But yeah, so the hypothesis still stands that London fix causes a reversal. Silver is pretty correlated with gold by a factor of 0.9, not quite a factor of 1, but close enough. And at the open of London, it was actually 0, so they're not that correlated today. I'm still bullish on silver generally, unless obviously that proves me wrong. I always trade whatever the price tells me. What's up, Seven? Good morning. Seven is stretching. I actually have 4 dogs in here with me. The rest of them are doggy daycare. But I have Rimmer Bear sleeping underneath my desk. Oh, you're seeing Astrid going up on the sofa now. And you can't see Seven. She's another one of our black and tan Cavapoms. She's having a cuddle with me down here. Yes, you're the watchdog. She's the loud one. Her and her sister over there on the on the chair, big watchdogs. Except Seven is less lazy, so she actually goes out and barks. Astrid would just sit on the sofa. She's a queen, right? So she sits on the sofa and she's like, yeah, you go do that. I'll just bark from here. It's like, get off the sofa and go bark. Like, come on, protect the place. What's going on? Okay, Janine, am I reading that correctly? Is saying, I'm long from 42.16.9. Let's go. Okay, good luck. And Anne-Marie is saying lots of congested motion near 42.20. Yeah. And now we have the London fix there as well. So, yep. Let's see if we can get a movement. I don't have any levels here on my silver because I want it lower or higher, not in the middle. All right, Seven. All right, Seven. Listen. All right. Come on. Come say hi. Let's go. Up. She wants to be in my lap now. So, and she's very shy. Camera shy. Are you camera shy? She's a female. You'll notice we have 3 black and tans, and they are each a different size. So we have the big Bernard, we have medium 7. She's a female, and then the tiniest boy, Maddie. So all the same color. You can't tell them apart. They're literally like hair for hair. They're the same color. It's ridiculous. When they were puppies, we were like, well, this one has a mark. Oh, that one has a mark as well. What about the neck? This one, oh no, this one has it too. We could not find a single hair where they were different. So we started thinking maybe they're triplets, but can that be, like, that can't be true because one of them is a female. So how? So I don't know. Dog genetics is very weird. I know there was some horse examples of something weird going on, and then the identical twins being different genders, but I don't know whether that can happen in dogs as well. I don't know, but yeah, it's certainly odd that we have 3 dogs that all look very, very similar. You're very soft, Seven. It's a softie. Mark Saunders, what do you do with all that poop? I collected. I don't know. They're actually raw fed, so it's really not that bad. They are small, very easy to pick up, and I mean, how much do you think dogs eat? You know, they're only small. I have a very big garden now, so I don't even notice it. So yeah. I don't know why people are like, it's kind of like having kids and going, yeah, well, what do you do with all those diapers? It's like, throw them away. Like, what? What kind of question is that? And they're very good puppies. They press buttons to go outside. This one even talks. Her and Bernard are very talkative with the Floor and Pet buttons. So when she has dinner, she will go to the soundboard and she will go, good. Which is quite funny. Or if I'm doing something and she wants me to be in the room with her, she goes, Dee, come. And then I don't answer. She goes, hello. So it's very funny having talking dogs. I can tell you that. And not all of them talk, at least not with great sense. But Bernard, 7, many maybe, but it's mainly the black and tans that are very talkative. Astrid is just lazy. She knows all the buttons but can't be bothered. She just wants biscuits. The one on the sofa. Very, very food driven. Alright, so we're bouncing from the London fix in a hammer-like formation, but at the same time, this is still a new candle on a 30-minute time frame, so we're going to stay on the 30-minute time frame to see how it ends. And as you can see, silver not really following the gold. It's doji, and yet gold is just a hammer for now. Hammers don't have a great track record as like lasting reversals. I always feel that they're pivotal pops into something else. They frequently gets retested and even taken out. So I prefer to have like a 2 or 3 bar reversal. Sorry, I've got 7th hair now in my face. Lovely. Do you know that Instagram reel where people are like living with a whole bunch of animals and they just have hair everywhere? That's me. Dog hair is the new black. Yeah? Mm-hmm. It's a fashion choice. Love. 7. It's not only fans, it's TopstepTV. Stop it. She loves kissing. We have 2 of them that are big kissers. Crichton is one. And in fact, if Paul H is in chat, I don't know, he's been quite busy recently, but Paul H has been here and he's been on TopstepTV. He came over and Crichton just literally just licked his face to death, and then Paul started joking that that's his boyfriend. So now every time he's like, how's Crichton, my boyfriend? Like, yeah, sounds about right. 7, do you want to go off? Do you want to go off? Because you seem to be a bit restless. Yeah, okay. That's fine. Go settle. Good girl. Oh, Mark says, Bernard is my middle name, but keep that information quiet. So you just casually decide to give us that information live on the stream. Okay, well, but we'll keep it quiet. Right, chat? We'll keep it quiet. I think Bernard is such a good name. We named Bernard by Bernard Black from Black Books. It's an old British sitcom with Bill Bailey and Dylan Moran. They are 2 comedians. And the premise is that Bernard is an Irishman who drinks a lot, you know, stereotypes, hates people but loves books, and you know, the hilarity ensues. But yeah, we love that show. And when Bernard came out, he was like black and tan, and we're like, we have to call him Bernard. We also have a Manny, because that was the Bill Bailey character. And he's a black dog, but the full name for Manny is Emmanuel Blanco, which is quite funny. So Bernard Black and Emmanuel Blanco. Yeah. The funny thing is, Manny and Bernard are same color, but massive size difference. So Manny is like 7 kilos. Bernard is almost 14 kilos. He's like, for what he is, he's enormous. Every time I see a new person at the vet, and I bring Bernard in for whatever reason, they go, oh, he's beautiful. What is he? And I'm like, half Pomeranian and half Cavalier. So it's always like, I'm sorry, did you say Pomeranian? Like, yeah. He's enormous. He's like a small Labrador. Like, it's crazy how they came out. Him and Rimmer, massive dogs. The rest of them are kind of to be expected. And one of these days I will do like a new house tour. So I keep planning to do that. Then we had like not such great weather. And then I had the news about Lenny. So that was a bit difficult. But yeah, I am planning to do the new house tour. And then you'll see all the doggos dotted around the house. Because some of them are on sofas. Some of them go in the bedrooms. Some of them are here in the office. Bernie is off at doggy school today, but he's normally hogging that sofa where Astrid is. All right, so let's see. 12 minutes until the 30-minute candle close. Now, when it comes to the profile, let's see what the profile is doing. Yeah, so we extended below the initial balance. But we were opening inside value on gold. Right now we're in a normal day type, so extension is equal size to the initial balance. Now that could mean a hybrid, if this remains as an excess. Excess is basically a wick, and it's on the profile it's printed as a single print. And you can have directional single prints that create a single print and then carry on. Those are directional. Or you can have excess, which is this. So when it pumps down and pulls back into the distribution curve. This distribution curve right now is not terribly even, but it could open up the possibility for a hybrid auction fade into a failed auction, especially because VWAP is all the way up here. So some kind of a responsive activity trade, if we manage to hold, especially above the open of the previous candle, that would bring me a little bit more confidence. If we end up in like 10 minutes time, the way this candle looks like that, I would possibly look to short on pullbacks. But for now, the London fix sharp reversal is still a possibility. So we have either or. But yeah, all a bit sketchy to me. Because if this had happened right at Asia low, I would be like, yeah, gold actually looks pretty good. Let's long it. And the stop required would be about 70 ticks. So again, that would be maybe a couple of micros to bring the whole risk down to maximum 350. So yeah, let's see what happens. But for now, we just sit and wait. And also, like I said, it's FOMC day. I really don't like trading much on FOMC days because I find that the moves tend to be a little bit more volatile and yet not as directional. So it's almost like the institutions prepare for the release, and if they're going to unwind positions, it happens way too quickly for me to react to it as an older person whose brain doesn't work as well anymore. So I need slow and orderly. I can't have like, because I lose myself. Derivative J says, what? An Irishman that drinks a lot? Yeah, it's funny, that one. Like Englishman that drinks a lot as well. Yeah, let's hit that like button actually, guys, for the Euro trade class. Slow markets, but loud lessons. Don't click buttons like you're possessed. And you know, patience, one of the questions that we get, one of the questions that we get quite a lot in group coaching is, how do you develop the patience? And I'm going to say, you know, Dakota is quite funny on Twitter, because I know some people are like, oh, he blocks me. Yeah, it's like, yeah, we block people, because if you don't, you're like, you have to take care of your own mental health. And honestly, I couldn't care less what random people on Twitter think of me. And I don't think he does either, but he's still, I think he's still relatively new to Twitter, so he still gets involved in a lot of the discussions, and he's younger as well, so you know, I kind of get it. But he actually said the art of not giving an F, right? I don't want to drop an F-bomb. So the art of not giving a, that's step one, right? So care less about what you do at a prop account. Care less. And by caring less, you almost diminish the power it has over you. So if you care about making money, and if you're like, well, this is it, do it, just take it as something, like I always say, if there's prop payouts to be had, oh, goody, excellent. But I don't despair if I'm having a scratch month or a down month, because I don't depend on that anymore. There used to be a time when I depended on my prop, of course, but that was a long time ago. So I worked very hard over the years to develop different businesses as well. So we've got software development. I've got other businesses like coaching. I've got, you know, I had an IT recruitment company at one point that went bust during COVID. That's a shame, because that was a nice little thing on the side. But, you know, if you're in the period where prop is everything to you, you may want to have a lot of designed distractions. So anything that can keep you away from the chart whilst you wait for your setups, that is a design distraction. So something like learning to play a new instrument, cooking. Although cooking is not the best, because if you do get a setup, you can't easily just move away and then forget about the cooking. So maybe that's not the best. But video games, that's a great one. Walking your dog, spending time with your family. Anything to keep you away. One wise person once said, the secret of patience is doing something else in between. I think those are the truest words I've ever heard in my life, and it works. So just make sure that if prop payouts is what you're depending on at the moment during that part of your life, just make sure that you have design distraction. Now, eventually, waiting becomes easier, and it just becomes a part of your DNA, and you stop experiencing FOMO. I could not care less, I said it yesterday, could not care less that silver went to 63 over my target of 59.90 or whatever it was. Could not give a monkeys, right? Why? Because that was in my plan. 63 wasn't. Is it today? Yeah. Why? Because ADR high is up there. Yesterday it wasn't. So it's a very liberating moment when you don't suffer from FOMO anymore. And you're just like, fine, it went. Cool, I got a portion of it. It's good enough. And yet, some people have a great trade. They capture, 30% of it. And then they spend all of their day pining for the rest of the stuff that they didn't take. They're like, But it carried on without me. It's like, you had a plan. It worked. Pat yourself on the back. Be positive. Why do we always have to be so negative? Everybody's a negative Nancy. It's like, oh, boo, I had a winning trade, but it wasn't big enough. It's like you had a winning trade. It came together. It's all good. Was it in your plan? Yes. The end. End of story. Right? That's all you need to think about as a trader. Not what happened after. What happened after is a nice, nice thing. It's like we ended up in an outlier day. Cool. How often does that happen? Not very often. So why pine over it? Never understood that part. Oh, I could have had so much more. Was it in your plan? No. So how? It's like people who pine for the dot-com bubble. Oh, if only I had invested in Apple or Google in the 90s. Were you investing at a time? No. Did you have money to invest? No. See what I'm saying? Completely pointless. Waste of energy. Complete waste of energy to me. All right, so right now, 3 minutes until the next 30-minute candle closes on gold, and we are still looking more like a doji. So again, a little bit sketchy. A little bit sketchy. Silver is establishing a range, though. So look at it. See that? So we are doing the statistical expectation of establishing a range. So now until that changes, definitely no movement. Hypotheses remain. So lows, Asia lows become areas of interest for longs unless we accept value and then start rotating later on. Value high, it might remain as an interest here, but again, I would like to see it wick through the Asia low first. And then if it carries on lower, much lower, then 60 near the ADR low becomes another area where I want to be a buyer. If it goes higher without me in between these levels, I really couldn't care less. But maybe, just maybe, I might be interested in picking it back up if we're over 62 and then carry on going towards 63. So get that $1 range. Shorts, only if we end up in a range bound situation. Then shorts might be possible either from VWAP if we're still here. Let's say we don't move much at all into the London close and we're still sitting below VWAP. Maybe that's an option. But that's so far away that, anything can happen. So yeah, I do have some thesis. And we just need to see where we are closer to the times of day. Because of FOMC, I don't know how much movement we are really, truly going to have. So not really itching to take too many trades at all. So we'll see. Like I said, I'm on fast markets and on group coaching today. Maybe something interesting pops up. Maybe I'll move to RBOB. I don't know. Let's have a look at RBOB actually. So if they go higher, maybe there's a short somewhere. Zach says, I like scalping 2/3 of my position and then holding 1/3 for long moves. Really helps with that. I wish my profitable trade went more issue. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Square 247 says, no, thank you, no cry. Mario says, I like to do cleaning when I'm waiting. I also like to do that. I like to do cleaning and I also like to fold clothes. I'm a very interesting person. So, what do you do in your spare time, Dee? I like to clean and fold clothes, fold laundry. But I think it helps with the mundanity, like of those tasks. It kind of connects your neural connections better. All right, so we're ending with a flimsy flimsy, small, what would you call this, long-legged doji, I suppose? Or just a small candle. Yeah, so not really giving me too much confidence here, but it is a potential for the London fix reversal. Now, RBOB yesterday, we are above the value for NYMEX. So if we get to, at the very least 0.6% distance, and we open within 0.6 and up to about 1% distance, there could be an early mean reversion down trade on RBOB. And if I look at what it's doing on the weekly chart, very range bound, but with a downward skew. So I'm still short biased on crude oil and RBOB. Some localized low here. I mean, we have a bigger swing down here, so I would not expect this to hold for much longer. Maybe if it holds today, it probably won't hold tomorrow. But one problem with Wednesdays is that we usually have inventories. I don't like inventories. So again, FOMC inventories, not the best day. Not the best day. Maybe I'll do natural gas. I don't know. We'll see. Whatever looks the best. You know, I might find a trade at some point today. The second one. But not really itching to do like 5 or 6 trades today. ES had a big move on the hourly close. Yep, that will be the unwind. So ES, I'm guessing, is the unwind ahead of the FOMC. So be careful. I said this earlier in the stream. I said if they start to unwind, it is generally pretty fierce and very difficult to catch. Granted, we had a test of VWAP and also a test of the value low. So at the moment, we're sitting below the value. That's bearish. Interesting. But yeah, obviously it's bearish now. It could change the closer we get to the open. So it's going to be an interesting day. Looks like institutions have decided to dump some inventory ahead of time. Not terribly though yet, but this could get ugly. And it's not entirely unexpected because that is what they do. So I'm going to finish the stream here. Thank you so much for joining me. Sadly, no good trades to be had during the stream. But like I said, you will find me on the final hour of Fast Markets today, which is 4 p.m. London time, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central. Do we have any more time zones? I don't know. And then you will also see me for group coaching. Until then, I would suggest that you take it easy today. It is FOMC, so don't rush things. Try a couple of trades. If they're successful, great, pat yourself on the back and then chill. You've done your job, you've made a bit of cash, made a bit of buffer, and then let's get some popcorn and beer and watch the show. We're going to have a watch party today, so we will be finishing the group coaching a little bit earlier. I think we'll finish 10 minutes before the FOMC begins. And until then, this was the Euro Trade on TopstepTV. I'm Marcus Stoker D, and I will see you a little later. Take care.